Hello world, you're listening to Feel Good. I'm your host, Malika Lee. And today's topic, it's going to be a little bit different than the normal format because I don't have a guest. So in the spirit of feeling good, it feels good to acknowledge what's true and what's present. And what's true and present is that the coronavirus and this pandemic has really turned our normal day-to-day way of life as we know it on its head. And so I thought that it would be great instead of just, posting, recording an interview that I've already done to speak to like what's happening right now very briefly and share some of the things that have helped me maintain a relatively level head given, all that's going on right now. Okay, so let's just get right into it. One, I'll say that I think my experience as I've sat with this and meditate is that COVID-19 presents a huge learning opportunity, and it's like a huge reset button. This probably will not come as a surprise of me saying this if you've been looking and listening and trying to search for a deeper understanding of what's happening. I would say that symbolically, it is representative of like that yin or Mother Earth or feminine energy, which is quiet, which is represented usually with the mystery of darkness, of being in the womb. I've heard someone else describe it. And that is so representative of like what I've been experiencing. I don't know if anyone else dealt with this, but by the end of February, I was exhausted, and I find myself like having to be still under the circumstances, and I've been sleeping a lot and resting a lot, just as a baby would do in the womb, and how it shows like how imbalanced we've been, I think, as a society, at least in this country, America, where we're just going all the time. And even if we get tired, we'll just get some coffee. Like, we don't take siestas or fiestas, like, I think it's siestas, like other countries do, of taking naps and rest. And so this is, a forced mandate in some ways to slow down. And Dr. Wayne Dyer has said that, what happens when you squeeze an orange? Well, when you squeeze an orange, what's inside the orange will come out. As COVID-19 has been squeezing us, anxiety and spending and all of these other things, fear, have been coming up and have been coming out. As an empath personally, I sense that when those things happen, at least I look at them as opportunities for healing. When someone brings up something in me that feels really uncomfortable, or that's a disturbance in some way, anger, rage, fear, anxiety, I see it as an opportunity to release it and let it go. But normally in our society, we're not taught to really be with these uncomfortable feelings, and the uncomfortable pressure cooker of COVID-19 is normally we will cope with them, right? With shopping or with going out to have a drink or distraction with sports games, and all those things are shut down. So it's kind of like we have to stew in our own juices, so to speak. And there's a book that has really been powerful and helpful I came across, over 10 years ago now, called The Presence, Presence, Process, by Michael Brown. And it has been so powerful to help me process a lot of emotions that I didn't even know I was holding many years ago. And so I highly recommend during this time of, reading books like that or other books that support you with emotional growth, development, and working through discomfort, all of which are normal. Fear is a totally normal experience, because we're experiencing something we've never had before. And so anytime we delve into the unknown, fear is a normal experience. It's just like, well, what do we do with it? Is it going to be constructive or destructive? Is what our choice is and how we use it. Okay, so that being said, I do want to shout out to all of the hospital workers and healthcare providers that are actually working overtime. I used to work at a hospital as well, so I just want to acknowledge that there are some people who are grinding and, working crazy amount of hours, putting in time to support the rest of us. And I honor you all and thank you for your service, whether you're a teacher, nurse, working for the county in public health, you know who you are, and thank you. I will say that emotionally, this has reminded me a lot of 9/11. 9/11 brought up personally, like for me, this sense of not being able to take time in life for granted. And so I went through this purgatory stage of fearing my own death for quite some time. And, with this coronavirus, it seems to be even more pervasive. And so, grief with that change is completely normal, as well as what I used that time for 9/11, and it ended up being a gift, is really taking a look at my life and looking at if I was on purpose. If I was to die tomorrow, this is what I asked myself back then, would I have peace with how I spent my day and my time? And the answer was no. And at that time, I didn't know what would get my life into a yes. But I will say that got my butt in gear big time to go about finding that way, because it was like I couldn't take time for granted. Who's to say I had 10 more years? And so I would say, or put that out there for your consideration. Like, this is a great time to reevaluate your life. And does it feel on purpose? Does it feel aligned? Is it lighting you up? And for some people, it's been a resounding yes, which is a humongous gift. And for others, it's a no. And so this could be a great gift of, this experience, and saying, how can I change my life to feel more in alignment and to be more fulfilling than it is right now? So that leads me to another, opportunity that this presents, which is seeing the gifts and the opportunities from it. And that can be really difficult to do when we're stressed out. But one of the things that's helped me is looking back on other times that have been uncertain, that have been stressful. One of my times was in college where I would run out of money almost every semester my first couple years. And I'm like, I didn't know where the money would come from. And I really wanted to stay at this school I was attending. Shout out to Spelman College, which was expensive, a private college. And each time it worked out, each time in ways that I couldn't anticipate. Money showed up from somewhere, something came together. And so I say that because you also have gone through similar experiences of unrest, of angst, of uncertainty, of stress, and you've made it through. Like, you're still alive. You're listening to this, and it may not have turned out how you expected, but it turned out in some way. And so I call upon those other times that bring up experiences of angst or stress in the past and that I made it through, to give perspective to what's happening right now. So, that's another thing that's helped me a lot. It's like, okay, in this time of uncertainty, when this happened 5 years ago and I'm okay and I made it through, and applying it to this moment right now. Another thing that people will do will say, how will I look at this 5 years from now? And then in their imagination, they distance themselves 5 years from now to put it in perspective, as it's going to seem very small in the past, looking in the rearview mirror, versus how it feels when you're in it right now. It feels so huge and consuming. One other thing that I found really helpful, and I think this is also mentioned in the episode 1, Facing Fears, because I became aware of it through the Orca swim class that I took that was basically built on the curriculum of miracle swimming. And that is about staying present. So they say that so many people drown in water when they're just like 2 feet away from the side of the pool, or in water that they could stand up in. And what the cause is that the mind is like somewhere else, and they're so panicked that they're not even present to like what's happening right now. And so how that's helpful is, we can definitely try to anticipate and future fantasize about different experiences and things that we don't want, or things that are to come. But it's like, if we just notice or pull that back and say, okay, right now I have food in my fridge. Right now I have all the toilet paper that I need, probably for some toilet paper that you need or don't need for the next 3 years. Um, and I'm okay. I have a roof over my head. But what that does is just another form also of putting things back into perspective, that right now you're safe. Right now, in this moment, you're okay. And that's another thing that really helps with anxiety and stress and the unknown, is bringing it back to like right now in this moment. I have all the air that I need. I have access to water. I can breathe. And hopefully this is true. If you're listening to this podcast, you have Wi-Fi. So I'm assuming that you're not directly in bodily harm. So that's just one other thing that I use to help cope and manage uncertainty without getting all worked up and stressed out and too far ahead of myself. So that's another thing that can be supportive of just putting things in perspective. Let's see, what else? Like I said, feeling your feelings, allowing it to, feel it to heal it. So that's important, to acknowledge it, to address it, to speak it, to share it. A lot of other things that I've heard other people say that have been really helpful for me personally has been to make a daily gratitude list of all the different things that have come about the day, that really changes your gear. And I remember Oprah saying many, many years ago, and when she used to do Remembering Your Spirit on the Oprah show, how important and life-changing starting a gratitude list was for her. Time in nature has been really powerful and has been a tremendous gift during this time, and really recharging, especially when my outdoor time is limited. Just letting the sun shine on my face, getting some fresh air has been a gift. So if you're in a city or wherever you are, like, opening your windows and just listening to the birds, quieting down, all those things have been a great source, I think, for many during this time to re-energize and refuel. Another one is spending time alone. So this can be a challenge, especially if you're living with your family and you all are on top of each other. But this is a great time to speak up for yourself, to ask for what you want, what you need, to set boundaries like, babe, I love you, but I need an hour in the bathroom right now, uninterrupted, to just take a bath so that I can be better to myself and come out and be loving and kind and feel better with you also. So that's another, opportunity, especially, in teaching your kids that also about setting boundaries, of paying attention to what they need and then asking for it. Well, kids usually don't have any hesitation for asking for what they want anyway. Being present with the family is another gift. So, for the last several decades, we have spent probably as a society more of our waking hours with people we work with than those we live with. And so coronavirus has really turned that on its head. And hopefully you have found that the people you live with, although they might get on your nerves from time to time, that you really enjoy them and love them. And sometimes it's helpful to know that you don't. That might save you like 10 years of your life of realizing, I really don't like this person very much. In fact, a friend of mine said that in some places in China where the quarantine has been lifted, the divorce rates have been increasing. So just food for thought, but, having an intention with those that you live with, constructive intention that requires the contribution of the entire family or all those that are living together, to work together, to collaborate, to make teamwork, that can be a really powerful use of time, especially with technology, where even in the past, when we are together, whoever we live with as a family, people are on their phones, everyone's doing their own things. Somebody's watching TV in one room, somebody's watching TV in another room. And so this is really a powerful time to like slow down and to spend some intentional time. At this point, you could probably do it almost every day of what can we do together as a family and what is our intention, in using this time. Let's see if there's anything else that comes to mind that I'd like to share. A lot of people are already using Zoom and catching up with friends, and that has been a really beautiful experience. One of my friends, he had a great idea of having like a Zoom dinner party. And he lives in another state, so I haven't seen him in over a year or so. And just sitting down and eating and talking with him and some other people that he invited that I didn't know was really a delightful and unusual way to have dinner, which I appreciated. And so, there are so many people who are coming up with creative ways to connect and really use technology for what it can be used for powerfully versus to disconnect and disassociate. So let's see, just as a review, feel it to heal it, setting an intention of something of like, what is it that you want to come out on the other side with this that's constructive, that's inspiring. One of my intentions is to use this time and maximize the gifts and the opportunities that the coronavirus presents. And I feel like I've been doing that. Some of that has been napping because I've been doing too much for too long and was exhausted and didn't even realize it. All right, I think that's going to wrap up just some feel-good tips and hacks on the coronavirus for now. I welcome your feedback, your ideas and suggestions. Feel free to leave them in the comments. And, if you're not feeling good, it's okay. Acknowledge that too. That's so important. And, just try to be as good and as kind with yourself as possible. Oh, one other thing. Two things. One, I almost forgot. How could I forget meditation? Meditation has been helpful. Asking for help and receiving help and grace. I think it was Candy Burris from Real Housewives of Atlanta and from the singing group Escape. She posted this video talking about how companies are allowing, small businesses and individuals to delay payments or to postpone payments during this time of uncertainty. And she wasn't going to do it. And MC Light said, when somebody offers you grace, you take it. And so she did. She called her lenders and suggested other people do the same. And I was inspired by that because normally I would just, go on ahead and pay everything. But I'm like, you know what? If Candy's doing it and she's, I'm sure, a millionaire, it's wise for me to look into it and explore it as well. So that's another thing, accepting grace and the generosity of others and asking for help. And meditation and mindfulness practice. I think that has been my huge go-to every single day, even before this coronavirus. And there's so many meditation, apps out there and on YouTube. So it would be a great time if you have not done any meditation to at least explore it and start a practice during the time for your mental and emotional well-being. So book recommendations again, Michael Brown, The Presence Process. He's the author of that book. And a movie that's coming to mind right now is Click with Adam Sandler about choices that we make and the impact that they have. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope some of it was helpful or that you got something that you needed or just even a reminder. Many blessings to you. And until the next time we meet again, be good to yourself. Give yourself a hug. Offer yourself some compassion as best you can. And we're in this thing together. If you like today's show, please like it, subscribe, share it with a friend, add comments if there's any questions that you may have. Also, if you'd like to reach out to me personally, I do support and work with people one-on-one at times or in groups. You can contact me through FEELGOODThePodcast at yahoo.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Ms. Malika Lee, Malika Lee.